Good evening and thank you for joining us on this week's edition of Sunday Interview. Now, President Edgar Lungu recently created 4 new ministries in an effort to streamline and improve service delivery to the public. One of the ministries that has since been ratified by the National Assembly is that of Housing and Infrastructure Development, headed by Ronald Stotela as Minister. Today on Sunday Interview, we get to understand the scope of the ministry and how much it has done in planning for the task ahead. My guest, Minister of Housing and Infrastructure, Mr. Ronald Stotela. Sir,
thank you so
welcome
much.
to the program.
Thank you so much, Grevas.
This is a new ministry, and all of us, probably except yourself, are grappling to understand what is the scope of the ministry, what is the difference between works and supply, housing and infrastructure.
And thank you so much, Grevajo. There has been a public outcry by the Zambian people that we saw a number of ministries doing and dealing in infrastructure development. We saw the Ministry of Health building hospitals, building clinics, almost abandoning their core business of providing health services to the Zambian people. We saw the Ministry of Education building schools and almost paying other attention to the construction sector instead of their core business, which is education. So the President and the PF government, through the leadership of President Edgar Lungu, decided to create a ministry that is dedicated for infrastructure development, so that we are going to streamline and making sure that efficiency and effective is given to the construction sector. So there is a Ministry of Housing and Infrastructure. The ministry is comprised of the following: the Department of Housing and Infrastructure under the Ministry of Law Government. That's why today the Ministry of Law Government is no longer the Ministry of Law Government and Housing. It is just a Ministry of Law Government. My ministry has taken over the department that is to deal with the infrastructure development. So you talk of all the existing infrastructure under the Ministry of Law Government there. It is now under my ministry. This is to do with council rest houses, houses that are still under the Ministry of Law Government. They have moved to the new ministry, department that is dealing with all the housing, and of course the National Housing Authority. It is now moved in the new ministry. We also went to the Ministry of Education. We took away the Department of the Infrastructure. The Ministry of Health, we also took away the Department of Infrastructure. The Ministry of Transport and Communication, we took away the unit that is dealing with the construction of the rail infrastructure, marine infrastructure, aviation infrastructure. And of course, I left to mention that the Ministry of Home Affairs was building houses and police stations. Of course, we want them to concentrate on providing security for the Zambian people. So you spoke of all the infrastructure development.
So you're one of the biggest ministries around.
Of course, I have heard people say that others are referring to me as a mega minister. Of course, with a lot of challenges.
Not the most bureaucratic.
No, we have resolved in the ministry and under my leadership that we must be responsive to the needs of the people. We must be able to make a difference. The creation of the new ministry must not make it difficult for the Zambian people to do business with government. It must not make it difficult for the poor Zambian people in Karingaringa to have access to social amenities, things like decent accommodation, good road network. Of course, I didn't finish. Also, works and supply, we took away the Department of Roads. That is to deal with the road development agents. It is now under the Ministry of Infrastructure. We also took away the Department of Public Infrastructure and of course the National Council for Construction. So, and I've sat with my friends in the ministry. We have agreed that we must be responsive, and I've told them I'm a firm believer in 2 letters, that is E and E, efficient and effectiveness. If we cannot be efficient, then we will not be relevant to the needs of the Zambian people. Let us not just be efficient, but we must be effective to give a quality product that will be appreciated by the Zambian people. As you've stated, I understand that we are the ministry that is anchored on development, that Zambian people, including the President and the Zambians out there, are looking for us to deliver the much needed development that Zambians are looking to. So
now we're looking at your ministry having all these departments moving from all other ministries into your ministry. Yes. And that should take a long time for you to settle.
Of course, we hit the ground.
You have a target?
We have hit the ground running, and for the sake of in smooth transition, because we are one government, we discussed with my fellow ministers whose functions are moving. We said from November 1, when we were officially appointed and sworn in as a minister, my friends in various ministries will continue dealing with the administrative functions of their units that are to deal with infrastructure development. And then the technical part, the members of staff in those ministries will continue, will now begin reporting to the permanent secretary in the new ministry until 31st December. So that come January 1, all the staff in these various ministries that are dealing with infrastructure development will move in the new ministry so that we can hit the ground running. And we have come up with a program to making sure that we do not become the encumbrance in terms of social and economic deliveries. Because for the government of Zambia, we have resolved to diversify our economy. For us to have a meaningful economic development, agriculture would depend on us to provide a link between the producer and the market, so that once the agriculture produce are produced, they must have access to the market. If you are talking about the energy, we need to provide a link between the energy sites, so that when the Ministry of Energy are putting up infrastructures that are to support the energy sector, we must be able to provide a link. And I think I have spoken to the PS, I've spoken to the staff in the ministry, even those that are coming. I've been meeting them, I've been calling them, and I've been giving them a vision where we want to take this ministry.
So you'll be the richest ministry, the biggest ministry, and there now comes the problem of bureaucracy, trying to improve infrastructure and education, health, agriculture, defense, home affairs, finance. All these constructions going on in the country come under you.
I will not be the richest ministry, but the Zambian people will be the richest citizen. Our role, it is to making sure that we deliver to the Zambian people. And I have said, I want to repeat, the tendency of processes that delay development are not part of me.
You alone, but you've
got all this not part of the ministry. And I have said it very clearly. I have said it very clearly. I have stated very clearly to them that we will not transfer a problem. If you become incompetency in the ministry, we will not push you to cabinet office, because government must be the center of excellence. We must be able to have the best cream, because even the private sector must be able to admire what government is doing. I've told my staff, you must be proactive, don't be reactive to the situations. I have even stated, I am not looking forward to working with people that are accustomed to the traditions that in Bemba we say chikuluna buchana manakwagaso. They are accustomed to the system that every day you wake up in the morning, come to the office, sit in the office at 12:30, they break up for lunch, they come at 14 hours, in 17 hours they knock off and go home every day. Ask them what they have done in terms of contributing to the change of the environment in where they are operating. Zero. It is as good as you are not born. It is as good as you are not employed in the ministry. And I have told them, unfortunately, today, everybody in the world wants to change the world, and nobody is prepared to change themselves. And I have told them, change must begin with you. Begin personal transformation. When you transform yourself, then we shall meet as a team. We shall have a change that the Zambian people desire to see.
So where is the line drawn between works and supply? What will works and supply do? I know you're not the Minister of Works and Supply, but you should know, where is the line between your ministry and Minister of Works and Supply?
I served in the Ministry of Works and Supply, and I must be very grateful to His Excellency the President that I am the minister that I have served in 2 ministries in the 2 months I've been in the office. I was first appointed as Minister of Works and Supply. I served there for 1 month. When the new ministry was created, the President moved me from the Minister of Works and Supply to the new ministry. Of course, I understand that the functions of Works and Supply now are to do with the office management of all the government office management, maintenance of government properties, gazetting, government printing, state functions, management of the government transport, and of course the Department of Valuation to evaluate all the government properties. And I can tell you, Grevajo, that we have neglected the component of maintenance of state properties. That's why you've seen a number of government properties. Everybody refers to them as verbal. So with a ministry standing alone responsible for maintenance of state properties, of course I understand that the minister responsible for works and supply now will be the busiest in terms of making sure that government properties are maintained, office management is properly put into good use, and of course government transport management, because government is the biggest manager of the transport in terms of the fleet management. So
was it so difficult? Maybe I should ask. Was it so difficult to have the functions that you're currently carrying under the Ministry of Works and Supply?
Grevajo, we are talking about, it is you who've just said that taking away all the functions of in terms of infrastructure development has created a big ministry, a mega ministry, as other people are referring to. Now imagine if you had combined it with the transport management, government printing, gazetting, state functioning, property maintenance, office management, it would have been huge. And then the efficiency and the delivery that the Zambian people are looking forward to seeing would have been compromised. So let's have a ministry dedicated for infrastructure development. Let's have a ministry dedicated for maintenance. Let's have a ministry dedicated for management of government transport. Let's have a ministry dedicated for office management. Our friends in China, Grevajo, specifically maybe a ministry for rail infrastructure, a ministry for that. But we understand that Zambia is a small economy. We can't manage to have every portfolio function having a different minister. So we put a team together. I have a competent permanent secretary who's a qualified engineer. I have a team of good engineers in the ministry that are supporting me in making sure that the dream of making Zambia a better place for every Zambian, regardless of their geographical position, regardless of their political affiliation, is attained. That is a challenge I have accepted. And Grevajo, I think I'm equal to the task. I may not be able to judge myself. I believe that this life is a journey. The opportunity God has given me to walk in this life, I must do that. When I am gone, people must look back and say, yes, we had people that came to serve. And I'm grateful
that you left a mark on that. Now,
and I'm grateful to the president for having shown confidence and trust in me that I can run with this ministry. There are two inspirational ways I borrow from President Lung. In 2015, when he was opening Parliament, he said, ours must be a generation of planners, so that at the stroke of midnight 2064, who will be there? I may not be there. When our children wake up, they must be able to look back and say, ours was a generation of planners. This year in Parliament, he said, we do not succeed this country from our forefathers, nor do we take it away from our assistants, but we borrow it from our grandchildren. So that entails that what we do today will have a greater bearing on the future generation. So we must be able to put in our best. We must be able to deliver to the best of our ability.
One of your key anchoring projects as the Patriotic Front is the road network.
Yes.
And you talk of planning, and people have accused government of failing to plan and taking on too many projects that eventually you failed to supervise and failed to fund. We're seeing an indication from the government that you're scaling down on roads next year. Is this what is on the ground?
Grevajo, we are a government that is committed to planning and putting things right. We are prioritizing the projects. We have beginning January next year, we have agreed to begin with road network that are of a high economic value, high economic returns. So that when
you talk about beginning January 2017, so we are replanning, re-strategizing.
We are just repositioning ourselves. That does not mean we shall abandon the projects that we have started. we have resolved within cabinet and government under the leadership of President Lungu that we will finish all the projects that we started during the tenure of the Patriotic Front. All the road network, all the infrastructure, schools, universities, houses, mention them, we will finish. Beginning January.
There's no argument about that.
We begin isolating and
when you talk of
identifying.
repositioning, is that an admission that at some point government had embarked on wanton lavishness in terms of expenditure?
No.
Were you at some point?
Far from reality, Grevajo. Look at the need. It's not a populist decision. These are decisions that are backed, demand-driven by the people on the ground. I have been to your province. I've been to Chipata. I've driven on the road from Chipata to Chadiza, from to Vubu, from Chadiza to from Vubu to Chadiza, from Chadiza to Katete. I've even been to Chanidabod. You see the need of the road network. If we are to talk about
some not economically viable,
there is no area that is not economically viable. The areas, that's why I said we identify first high economic volume places that once we develop them, we begin getting returns on our investment. Then we begin now investing on the potential areas for economic activities. Don't tell me in Chadiza there's no potential for that area to be turned into an economic viable area. Once we put all the necessary amenities in place, things that will attract the private investment in the rural areas, road network is key. Schools is very important. The health infrastructure is very important. Any private person who would want to go and invest, put the investment in VUB, the first thing they will look for, do we have the road network that will support the economic activities as they set up business there? They will look at, when we set up business there, we are going to employ workers who have children. Do we have educational facilities that will be able to support our staff? The other thing they will look for are the hospitals. Do we have good medical facilities that our workers will be able to access? Those are what we are doing. Those are not populist decisions. Those are decisions that anchor on the needs of the citizens.
Repositioning, you said. So which ones are standing out as your major projects for 2017?
The major project for 2017, Grevajo, and I've agreed with the members of staff, and I've said, we have talked about this road since independence, that Lusaka and Ndola must be turned into a dual carriageway. And I've agreed, I have given them a message that if we don't launch by May, June next year, obviously between me and the PS and the staff, one must be fired. Because I'll go to the president and said, the staff have failed me.
Fired or you shall resign?
No, I can't.
You are not offering yourself to step down? Once you fail this project?
If the project of Lusaka Ndola dual carriageway does not take off, this is a serious message even to the permanent secretary and the staff. Between them and me, one must be fired. Because I'll go to the president.
So it's easy then to pass the back and say, well,
I have given them targets.
My civil servants failed me.
I have given them the target, the Grevajo.
One thing people would want you, support. We saw at some point a minister of agriculture say, if anybody is going to die of hunger, I will leave office. You should say the same. If this road does not take off, I will leave office.
Let me state this.
Then people can hold you accountable.
Let me state this. I want Zambians to hold me accountable that by May, June next year, if I don't invite the president, His Excellency President Lungu, to launch the construction of Lusaka and Ndola dual carriageway, have even told the PS, because I've given them the maximum support that it would require for them to implement that project. I'm the vice chairperson of the PPP unit. I'm deputizing Honorable Mutati. And at government level, even at His Excellency President Lungu's level, we have given the staff the maximum support for them to move. And then if there will be any inertia, that's why President Edgar Lungu in South Africa did indicate will not work with the civil service that will delay development. And that is a strong message to them.
You don't want to put your job on the line?
Even me, I have told them, I'll go to the president to say, sir, you
remove me from office.
You've given me the following mandate, and I have done up to 100%. PS, show me what you've done. If it will prove that we have failed because it is me, obviously I'll be fired. If it will be proven that we have failed because it is PS, obviously he'll be removed.
No, maybe we're taking long on this, but you still want to be fired, not to leave on your own.
If I fail, surely, The morality demands that if I cannot deliver within the mandate that is given, I would rather say, if the president, I would rather say, sir, let me go and do a bit of farming. If I fail, sure, I don't want to fail President Lungu. I don't want, His Excellency President Lungu wants Zambian people to see the benefit. I would rather go.
Minister, it's a big project, and economists and other politicians have argued that there's no need for government to build the dual carriageway.
Why?
Use the PPP. Don't get involved. Don't use public funds. Let the private sector take it up. This is a very busy road. And
what is PPP?
The private sector can build this road.
No, I want
recoup
you to
their
say,
money.
I want you to define PPP. If the private sector, if the economists have said government should not invest, we must go PPP. What is PPP? It's public-private partnership.
Where you provide the support,
yeah,
they provide the financing. So you don't use public funds.
Who's public? It's government. So you cannot say if we go the PPP way, then government will not spend any money. No, it is partnership we are talking about, management. And of course, the other school of economists also have said this is an economic road.
Give it to the private sector.
If we give it to the private sector to develop and then they reap the profit, or government, I'm telling you the other school of economists, they've said if government can borrow money to do this high volume economic road, within 5 years, government will be able to pay a full debt and have a return on the investment that can spur
But you know,
that can spur economic benefits in other potential areas. So there are two schools. Yes, I agree with the private sector fully financing the road. That will give a leverage on a national treasure. There is also a school of thought to say, yes, we will be able to empower the private sector to raise enough money for them to sustain and do business. Government can also, as I stated in the opening remarks, that government must be the institution where efficiency and professionalism is expected, can do that road, raise enough money to pay the debt, and then raise enough money to build a road in the potential areas of Vubwi, to build another road in Chadiza, to do a road in Shangom. And from the investment on this road, I was doing the calculation that with the new implementation, come January 1, of the toll fees and all the toll gates are built, the 24 toll gates that we have started building are completed. 2018, January to 2018, December, government should be able to raise, if we manage all the toll facilities, 4.8 billion kwacha per year.
But government has never been known to be that efficient. You know that, Minister. Yourself, you know.
I have spoken to the staff in the ministry. It must not be Chitotera. That's why we are coming up with a policy that even when Chitotera is not there, the government must be able to walk the talk. We must be able to follow programs that we have laid for ourselves. That imagine, if we were able to raise 4.8 billion kwacha per annum, we can say we shall get 2 billion reinvest back on the road sector, so that we continue maintaining the road infrastructure. Then we get the 2.8 billion, start building new roads on those potential economic viable sites.
Good plans that probably never get implemented. People have paid fuel levy for years now,
the difference
decades, and they do not see that plan where it says, this is the money we made from this levy, and
the difference of history and present is commitment. I don't want to speak about the past. I have said, and the President Lungu has demonstrated that he's a man that walks the talk. And as a minister responsible for that ministry, I have said, if we cannot function, then we shall render ourselves irrelevant to the Zambian people. It will not do for us to collect money in terms of the toll fees and the fuel levy, and then we don't reinvest it back on the road sector. And we have agreed with the Minister of Finance, Grevage. I've sat down with Honorable Mutati and we have agreed to say, yes, there is this Animal Code Control 99. When the money is collected from the toll fees and the fuel levy, it will first go into Control 99. But an ASI of 2007 has also provided that money is raised from the toll facilities and the fuel levy. We shall be created with a special purpose account specifically for the road sector implementation programs, and that has been running at Ministry of Finance, and the minister.
The account will sit there, and the money will probably never be released until end of year.
Maybe in the past. To date, to tell you, we've just been...
Because there's another animal called competing needs.
We cannot have competing needs with the already designated funds, because that fund will sit into the road sector account, and that money will only be accessed by programs to do with the road sector. That's why today I'm very proud to say, from the time His Excellency President Lungu constituted his cabinet to date, we found an outstanding debt on the road sector alone in excess of 2.8 billion. But in less than 3 months, we have paid to almost 1.2 billion kwacha.
Before I take you that route, I want you to talk about, we cut that debate probably. I think we were asking who goes first, who wants to go and volunteer to leave when the work doesn't get done. Which route are you taking on the dual carriageway, the Lusaka-Copperbelt dual carriageway?
I told you we have 2 schools of thought.
And if it's 5 months, you're still debating on the 2 schools of thought.
That's why I'm saying the other school of thought is saying PP is a brilliant idea, but it can take us another 8 months for us to conclude. And I've told them I'm not interested. And the other school is saying EPC, the contractor financing, can take us a minimum of 3 months. And then we begin constructing. So we will be meeting under the chairmanship of Honorable Mtati and myself as a deputy on the Council of Ministers to decide which route we take. So we have 2 schools. When we meet, and not very long from now, maybe in the next few minutes or hours, we are going to have that meeting. Once we decide, and we shall give benchmarks to the technocrats, we'll tell them we expect you to do A, B, C, D, so that if it means all the administrative functions will be dealt with, we'll give them that by April. By the month end of April, all the administrative issues that are pertaining to the selection of the contractor, how the contractor moves on site, must be completed. I'm saying must be completed, not maybe. Must be completed, so that if you are to draw probably in May or June, I will go and kneel before His Excellency the President to say, sir, come and launch the construction of the dual carriageway.
Now, let's look at the budget. Your colleague at Finance did state that we cannot spend what we do not have. And this year we're probably looking at, next year, an economic recovery plan and budget. How does this affect your execution of projects under the Ministry of Infrastructure?
It doesn't. If you remember, even the Minister of Finance said for us to diversify our economy, in the process of recovery, we will not do away with the development agenda. Because I can assure you that during the period of street measure, that's when we need to provide relief on the citizens as a responsible government under His Excellency President Lungu's stewardship, and that's what we are doing. If you check the next year's budget, road sector alone has been allocated up to 8.6 billion kwacha. Just the road sector alone. If you go through the yellow book, we put all the infrastructure monies allocated in various ministries, you put them together, it is coming to 27.6 billion kwacha. 27.6 billion. Go through the yellow book, you look at the rail infrastructure, education infrastructure, the health infrastructure, the home affairs infrastructure, you look at marine infrastructure, aviation infrastructure, put all the monies together, it is going to 27.6 billion. Obviously, as minister responsible for that sector, I'm very happy and ready to begin.
So you probably agree that your ministry is the richest. Now, let's look at
the Zambian people are the
your
richest.
ministry is the richest.
The Zambian people, I am superintending over this ministry on behalf of the president and the Zambian people, because the Zambian people have deposited the authority in the office of the presidency, and the President Lungu has decided to mandate me to superintend over this ministry. So it is not necessarily about me, but about the Zambian people. Conscious in mind that we must deliver. And I've spoken to my staff that let us all operate above the board. Corruption must not be associated with
I was coming to that point. Your ministry has that challenge. Overpriced projects. Projects that don't meet standards but are certified as complete and done.
Grevajo, that is a perception. That is a perception. Before I entered
the president did speak to that issue.
He did
in terms of procurement, we probably are the worst.
He did state that let's make sure that we streamline. That's why we've brought all these construction functionaries under one ministry. Because previously, you may be referring to the history, we used to have various ministries procuring. At the end of, after they had done their procurement, they would do a construction. Then they will come and invite an engineer from the Ministry of Works and Supply to go and certify. In an event of failure, who takes the responsibility? So we are passing on a responsibility to this one, that one, that one, that one. That's why we said, no, let us have one ministry dedicated so that if we check the pricing mechanism, it must conform within the BOQ.
So you standardize this now?
We will make sure that no price goes beyond what is prescribed in the BOQ. We must make sure that we give efficiency and quality to the Zambian people. Zambian people must be able to get benefit for their money. They must be able to get value for the money.
You are pledging
that is my commitment.
There will be no projects certified which are badly done. You are pledging.
I have even spoken to the staff in the
our
ministry.
Projects in Zambia will no longer be the most expensive.
I've even spoken to the staff in the ministry, those that are responsible for certification, that how do you go and certify the project which have not been monitoring? That's why the structure of Ministry of Housing and Infrastructure, I have stated, it will begin from the district level. We must have a district engineer who will constantly monitor the activities of construction at the district level. We must have the district housing engineer who will be responsible to monitor how other infrastructures are being built so that nobody passes a buck on somebody. There must be somebody to take responsibility. Because that is the only way we are going to have efficiency and effectiveness. That's the only way Zambians are going to have value for their money.
So what is the role of the consultants? Are you being let down by the consultants that you put in?
Obviously.
Probably a bit of corruption in place?
No, if you remember, I just stated previously that we had a situation where various ministries were implementing infrastructure development. So we could see a passing of a buck to say, no, it was certified by your ministry. No, it is the quantity surveyors.
But overall, this is a problem for government. Government to resolve. Government to accept and government to take responsibility.
No, it could have been a problem. I am saying it could have been a problem of government.
Not that it was.
When we hear Zambians speak, so we begin to say, okay, let's investigate this. Let us investigate this so that once we establish that this is what is happening, we must be able to provide a remedy to that problem. We must be able to provide the solution so that at the end of the day, at the end of our journey at the ministry, Zambians must be happy to say, yes, we had leadership that came to save us. At the end of the leadership of His Excellency President Lungu, Zambians must stand up and say, yes, we had president who came to serve the interests of the Zambian people. And that is the leadership His Excellency is providing. And that is the leadership all of us as his lieutenants are pledging to provide to the Zambian people.
You were recently in Eastern Province and you warned contractors that they'll be prosecuted.
Yes.
Is this just another performance for the camera?
No.
We've seen that before.
I can tell you.
So many officials.
Unfortunately.
You speak strongly in the camera.
Unfortunately.
And afterwards, 2 months, 3 months down the line, nothing works.
Unfortunately, I'm still repeating. I'm not the minister that believes in sitting in the office. I want to see hands-on way of supervision. Those contractors, because I have committed myself to the President and the Minister of Finance, release the funding. Let me pay the contractors. Let them finish this infrastructure so that Zambian people can start getting benefits for their money. When I release payment, I pay them, and then they don't move on site. That project does not benefit my grandmother in Chitotara village in Pambache constituency. It is not just a performance failure that we shall revoke, a performance bond. No, the money he has received will be treated as obtaining money by false pretense. I will be the first minister to write to the investigative wings of government and complain so that if we prosecute one or two contractors, others will learn from them.
Has this process started?
We are paying now the contractors.
We are still in the warning process.
No, we are paying the contractors. We have started paying. I told you that I found about 2.8 billion outstanding debt on various IPCs for the jobs done by the contractors. And I have started liquidating that. That's what I'm saying. By January, February, after the rain season again, I will do the undertaking myself. I will not send the staff. If they are going to accompany me. If I find that we have paid this contractor and is not on site, he has abandoned work. You can mark my words, you see. I want the Zambian people to say, yes, it is not a mere threat. Unfortunately, those that have associated with me, they'll tell you that my weakness, my greatest weakness in life is honest. I'll tell you the truth. I'll tell you the truth that you are my friend. If you don't perform, then if that contractor doesn't perform, he's not my friend, because then you want the president to fire. And if I'm fired, I have a family to take care of. Before I'm fired, I will have them fired. Even the members of staff have told them that what to do is my responsibility. How to do it is your duty as PS and your staff. Don't interfere in my process of doing things. And I've told them, don't tell me what you are putting in for you to have a best result. I'm able to give me the outcome. I'm able to say, and then I will tell the kind of input you've put it.
So you've paid 1.2, and
almost 1.2 billion has been paid out to both.
When do you expect you to complete the payments?
We have agreed with
You've owed these contractors for a long.
We have agreed with Minister of Finance that we are able to complete this payment by or immediately after the month end of February. Why we could not release we managed to source this money, but we were advised by the Bank of Zambia and the economists that we had a bit of an economic crunch in the economy. If again we just come and release all the monies at once, we shall distort the economy. There will be unnecessary adjustment in the economy. So it may push inflation high. And that thought is very sound. And there is impeccable evidence that we cannot, then we shall distort the economy. What we agreed and what we have been doing in the past for 2 months we've been in office as a cabinet is to be releasing money every after a fortnight. For the past, we have been releasing 400 million and 100 million to the small contractors, those that are involved in the construction of the houses in the new districts. Yes. And we are determined as government. I have told the contractors, looking for money is not your role. Your role is to perform. If you've done your IPCs, come to me and tell me I've done this. One critical example I can tell you is the most critical road the Zambian people have been referring, Chingora-Sorwezi Road. On that road to date, I can tell you that among the 2 local Zambian contractors, I don't owe them anything. I have paid them their full.
And the road is in the worst condition.
No, it is not the road. It is the detour, which was not properly managed. And I called the contractor responsible for that portion. I told him, hey, make sure that the detour is managed. And he told me he's almost completing tarring the 10 kilometers. He wants to do 28 kilometers so that before the end of December, he's going to open up that 28 kilometers. So we have the rains now, and the detour is in a very bad condition. It was, and he has worked on that portion. The 2 Zambian contractors, I'm not owing them anything. I've paid the IPCs 100%. The other foreign contractor, I found we were owing him almost 120 million. I've paid him almost 60, 70 million. I think that is a serious commitment on the part of government.
Before we move out of roads, I want you to deal with the issue of tolling, which became a major issue of controversy for people that live in areas that you've put toll gates in, and particularly the urban areas where people work from Lusaka. They have to go back to
I think that could have been a misinformation by the media, because if you read the SI that I signed, SI 85 of 2016, it is very clear, and you have taken interest of the communities where those toll plazas have been erected or put. I have stated in that SI, anybody living within the radius of 10 kilometers of that toll plaza, we want to promote ownership. They will only be able to pay 2 kwacha per entry per day.
That's people living in the vicinity.
Those that are living within the radius of 10 kilometers. 2 kwacha per day. 10 kilometers, 2 kwacha per day. If they want, they can pay 50 kwacha per month. So that they will be using, even if they pass 100 times, as long as they have paid in 50 kwacha per day, they will not be inconvenienced. And then we have also provided for, because I know we are putting up a toll facility at Lev Manawas. We are putting up a toll facility at Ganaton. There are people that work in Chingola.
Ganaton into Kitwe.
Live into Kitwe. We are putting up a toll facility at Nishimabala. I know that there are people who live in Kafue, who work in Rusak. We have provided for that which is called the
frequent user.
The frequent user. Those that use the toll facility twice a day will only be able to pay 5 kwacha or 250 kwacha per month. They can use the facility even for 1,000 times.
A 250 kwacha on top of your fuel bill is not a just or only. It's a huge amount.
What is the cost? 250
kwacha a month.
I want you to
additional
answer.
Cost?
I want you also to answer. In order to be more expensive, for me to fail to maintain the roads, so that you drive, you damage your car, how much cost will it be for you to maintain the suspension of your car? And if we are to talk about sustainable development, this is a problem we have in Zambia, Grevash. Everybody today in Zambia is an economist. Everybody today in Zambia talks about sustainable development. If then you cannot sustain the infrastructure development that you've put in place, tell me how you can achieve sustainable development. You said the Zambian people have been crying, we have been borrowing for the roads, we've been borrowing for infrastructure development. In the next 5-10 years, if these roads are not maintained, these roads will not be there. These roads will not be there.
So you say
we have to provide
you
for a
think
mechanism.
Zambians probably complain too much, but they'll probably tell you, Minister, as government, you've been smart on them. You've said, well, tax exempt, we've added 300 kwacha, is it?
Yes, we've done that.
And then you get it from the toll fees as 250?
No.
And
look,
where is the value that you're giving?
Everywhere in the world, Grevaggio, where you go, citizens of that nation takes charge and responsibility of their infrastructure and needs. Everywhere, even in Europe, even in America, even in South Africa, even in Zimbabwe, even in Botswana, the same Zambian. Here in Zambia, he doesn't want to pay for social services government is providing. When they are driving into South Africa, they'll be the first one to pay. And when they are driving into Zimbabwe, they'll be the first one to pay. So the question is, if we want to talk about meaningful and sustainable development, we must begin inculcating the sense of responsibility in the minds of Zambians that BOM or government, it is themselves the people. I was in the United Nations one day when I was under the Minister of Youth and Sports as Deputy Minister in New York. And then this Secretary General asked the member states and said, everybody, among yourselves, you say United Nations in America. Who are the United Nations? Because here in New York, it is just a secretariat. Who are the United Nations? It's the member state. And then today we are saying government must do this, government must do that, government must do. Who are the government? It is you and me, the Zambian people. We have been given a responsibility to pretend over the affairs of the Zambian people on behalf of the 15 million Zambian people. So we must all take responsibility to making sure that we maintain our infrastructure. How do we maintain? And Grevaggio must state, because there's been a misleading information out there that no, ministers are exempted. Nobody is exempted other than the president, the vice president, military personnel, and vehicles of the emergency nature, ambulances, fire brigade, and
military personnel driving private vehicles?
No. If you are a military, you are a soldier, you are driving a private car, you will pay. Honorable Chitotera is going on government programs in GRZ vehicle with a flag. He's not exempted. He will pay.
There's a complaint that you've been relatively soft on the foreign trackers and vehicles.
Grevaggio, we have put a mechanism. If Zambians have cared to study the SI, that any abnormal loading on our roads, they will pay 500 kwacha per toll plaza that they pass. If one is coming from South Africa Then they have overloaded on our roads. We have a toll facility that will be putting up. Then it's coming through Katimamuli or Zimba or Livingstone. We have put up a toll facility. We'll be putting up a toll facility in Choma. They will pay 500 kwacha. They'll find a toll facility at Shimabala. They'll pay 500 kwacha. They'll find a toll facility at Katuba. They'll pay 500 kwacha. They'll find a toll facility at in Manyumbi. They'll pay 500 kwacha. They'll find a toll facility at Kafulafuta. They'll pay 500 kwacha. They'll find a toll facility at Levi Mwanawasa Stadium. They'll pay 500
Business
kwacha.
doesn't complain about all those things. They'll push them onto the consumer.
We are trying. That's why we need to maintain our roads. These heavy-duty trucks. It is you saying Zambians are complaining that we are burdening the small consumers or the domestic users of our roads instead of the commercial, the users of our properties. That's why I'm saying.
The complaints, some of them are emanating, Minister, from roads that relatively are still free from toll plazas. You're looking at Mansa Luwingu. So many trucks using that road into the Congo.
We have captured that road. We have captured that road. You are correct, because what our colleagues have been doing, those that have been coming from Tanzania, they will get to Mbala turnoff immediately after Nakonde. They will go into Mbala, come to Kasama, Luwingu, then cut into Kawambwa through Pambashi, a new road that we've built, or Mansa, and go to Kashiwa off-road without paying the toll facility. On the new gate? On the new road? Yes. Very expensive road. Now we have captured. We'll be putting up a toll facility beginning June next year between Mbala and Kasama, and between Kasama and Luwingu, and between Luwingu and Mansa, so that they will have nowhere to run to. We must capture even them that are using that facility. It is not okay. We have invested a lot of money on that road, and we need to get return on our investment. So how many toll plazas are you putting up next year? We are targeting for 40 by the end of next year. And reaping how much? 4.5 billion? 4.8 billion. If all the 40 toll plazas begins operating by the end of next year, we are targeting to reap 4.8 billion kwacha per year. And we have agreed. I was doing some calculations. I said, then we shall say 2 billion kwacha will go back to the road maintenance. Because we need to maintain the roads. Zambians must benefit for what they are paying for. And then the 2.8 billion will go into opening up new areas that will be the areas of economic potential. Because obviously, your grandmother in Mogugut would want to see a tar road. That is the only way. We need to do also a tar road from Katete to Musoro Chipata. We need to raise money that we can use on these projects. Invest on that other portion of the road. We've talked too much on the road. I wanted also to speak about the housing, because I was going to move to the housing. What plans do you have? I know that when the president was appointing, announcing that he was going to set up the Ministry of Housing and Infrastructure, he did mention and express deep concern that 50 years after independence, more than half of Zambians still live in substandard houses. Thank you, Grevaj. What we have done is, I have tasked the PS, and I'm happy that even Stanbic Bank has come on board. Early next year, we should have an infrastructure symposium that will be taking place in Lusaka. We want to invite Stanbic Bank. I said they have been in this construction industry, banking. They will invite in even the foreign contractor, the foreign infrastructure developers. But what is brewing in my head, I've said, no, you can't have a situation, Grevaj. When you are leaving Lusaka, you are bidden bye-bye by the slums. When you are coming to Lusaka, either direction, whether you are going south, north, east bound, the last portion of Lusaka will be the slums telling you bye-bye. The first part of Lusaka will be the slums welcoming you into Lusaka to say welcome into Lusaka. I've been thinking, I'm preparing a cab memo that once cabinet approves, it becomes a government position that even when I'm not there, anybody will do. I've been speaking to the private investors under the public-private partnership. We will identify, and I want first to begin with 2 shunt compounds in Chawama constituents and in Mandevo as you go along Kasangol. We are not going to impose on the people. I want to talk to them. through their representatives, leaders, the members of parliament and councillors, once cabinet approve, then we'll find the investor who will tell him we have a prime land. We can displace people maybe for 24 months. And then we give the investor to put up high-rising flats, high-scraper flats, one probably up to 25 floors. That area around Kasangula, as we're driving to your left-hand side, can take maybe 100 high-scraper flats. What will happen is those that are living in a two-bedroom house, then after the completion of construction, will be given houses on those flats, a two-bedroom house, with at least an access to a title, even if it will be a common lease, because it will be on the flat. They will have improved services to social amenities, things like sewer, road network, electricity and water. And they will have access to quality life. That is going to improve the living standards of the people, who reduce on communicable diseases. So the Minister of Health, Dr. Chirufi, will have less money to spend on clinical care. When that project takes off, I'm not saying if, because I see it taking off.
People are anxious to see that take off, because what we've had now is...
We'll move to Chawama, we do the same. By the end of 2021, we'll have improved the status and the outlook of Lusaka. And we'll have improved the lives of the Zambian people that are living in those slums. If we build, say, in 50 flats, those that will have been displaced, those that are going to be displaced, maybe they can only occupy 20. The whole of that area, they can only occupy 20 flats. And then the 30, we give it to the private developer to say, now you can raise, you can recover your investment. You can sell to the government workers, those that can buy, and lease them out.
So you have plans?
This is the plan.
You have plans and to transform National Housing Authority? Many have thought that is an institution for the rich.
I can tell you.
The houses built even way beyond
National Housing Authority.
Income
drastic
group.
Measures very soon. I have asked the management at National Housing Authority to give me a report. A detailed report. I've asked the union at National Housing Authority to give me a detailed report and the board. And I gave them deadline up to 20th December. They must be able to submit. After I understand, I started, because the first thing that greeted me immediately that institution moved into are challenges. I've received petitions from the members of public. I've received petitions from the workers. I've heard a lot, even some investigative wings, even the banks that I was inviting. Others are saying, oh, we bent our fingers the time we worked with the National Housing Authority. But being a product of victimization, I don't want to be to victimize innocent people. So I've said, let me have a report from all the concerned parties. I'll look into the report of the board, the report of management, the report of the workers through their union. Then I will come up with the drastic measures to transform. I need institutions that will be responsive to the needs of the people. National Housing Authority was created to provide decent and affordable accommodations to the Zambian people. With that, we must live by that mandate. If they fail, I'm sorry. I would love to make serious pronouncements. Those pronouncements who cater for the interests of the common Zambians, because Zambian people have deposited the authority in us, and we must be able to take interest of them.
They have a vision. They did announce that they have they would want to build at least 10,000 housing units annually.
I wanted to look at that. My father
but the pricing hasn't been very friendly to them.
My father told me, a vision without realization, it is just a dream. And everybody dreams. You can be dreaming, you are in the UK, you wake up, you are in Zambia. So if that vision, I want it in the report, how they intend to do that. And then obviously, I will be informed by, obviously I've received petitions from the members of the public. I don't want to victimize anybody. And that I'm not, I will make a decision based on the report. After I have understood the report, I have consulted, so that once the decision is made, it will be made in the interest of the Zambian people. Or that we don't victimize anybody, or we don't unjustified we come up with decisions that are not going to be appreciated by those that will be affected by those decisions. That
your commitment, we have 1.5 million deficit housing units.
I'm committing
to 3 million.
I'm committing myself to the Zambian people after the symposium next year, which I see coming the first quarter of next year. I've spoken to His Excellency the President. Is willing to be the guest of honor. He's willing to grace that symposium of infrastructure. We'll come up with ideas. We shall make pronouncement. We shall give ourselves target that by the end of every year, we must come up with so many housing units, not just in Lusaka. I want to turn Petauke into a main city. I want Mansa to be declared a city. I want Chipata declared a city. I want Kasama declared a city. I want Nmongu declared a city. I want Sorwezi declared a city. So that if these provincial centers are declared as cities, then we shall identify other districts in these provinces that will attain the status of the municipal status. So that if we say every district, if we are talking of 30,000 housing units, the National Housing Authority, how have they distributed them? To me, a simple mathematician now look, we have 10 provinces. We should be able to distribute 3,000 per province. How will those 3,000 per province sit in which district? So my commitment to the Zambian people, they have not made a mistake by voting for us. PF means business. Under the tutorship of His Excellency President Lungu, I want to assure the Zambian people that their interests is taken care of. The President Lungu has given me specific instructions. He wants Zambia to be transformed. He wants to better the lives of every Zambian. He wants every Zambian to have access to decent accommodation. And that
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
You've been watching Sunday Interview, and our guest this evening was the Minister of Housing and Infrastructure Development, Mr. Ronald Chitotela. I'll be back next week at the same time. Pleasant viewing.